The strange thing about burnout is that it rarely arrives all at once. It builds quietly, one losing trade at a time, one sleepless night at a time, one more chart refresh at 2:14 a.m., until eventually you're sitting in a dark room staring at candles you don't even care about anymore. That was the moment you realized something uncomfortable. Most people in crypto aren't investing, they're surviving emotionally. Constant volatility, constant attention, constant stress. And somewhere in the middle of all that chaos, you started hearing another phrase more often: passive income. At first, you ignored it because crypto people love exaggeration. Everything is life-changing. Everything is the future. But then you noticed something strange. The wallets making the most consistent gains weren't always trading. Some of them barely moved at all. They were parked inside DeFi protocols, quietly earning yield while everyone else chased the next narrative. That changes the way you look at the market, because suddenly crypto stops feeling like a casino and starts looking more like infrastructure. So one night, instead of opening charts first, you open DeFi dashboards, TVL rankings, yield aggregators, lending protocols. And slowly, the ecosystem starts making sense. By 2026, DeFi isn't some experimental corner of crypto anymore. It's enormous. Billions locked across protocols, cross-chain liquidity everywhere, institutions quietly entering. The technology matured, not perfectly, but enough that the conversation changed from "can DeFi survive" to which protocols are actually sustainable long-term. And that's the question that matters now. The first category you explore is lending protocols, probably the calmest corner of DeFi. No flashy narratives, no overnight hype explosions, just lending and borrowing. Simple on the surface, but incredibly powerful underneath. You open Aave first, because honestly, everyone does eventually. By 2026, Aave feels less like a startup and more like financial infrastructure. Users deposit assets into liquidity pools, borrowers take loans against collateral, and lenders earn yield from the activity. No bank building, no paperwork, no permission. Just code managing liquidity globally. You study the dashboards late at night, stablecoin lending pools, borrow utilization rates, historical yields. And what stands out immediately is stability, not massive APYs, consistency. That becomes a theme very quickly. The strongest DeFi platforms in 2026 aren't promising insane returns anymore. They're promising survivability. And after years of rug pulls and collapsing protocols, people value that far more. Then there's Compound, different style, cleaner interface, more conservative culture. It doesn't feel built for hype traders. It feels built for people who want exposure to decentralized finance without constant chaos. You notice a pattern among long-term users. Most of them care less about chasing maximum APY and more about protecting capital while earning moderate yields steadily. That mindset shift changes everything. Then your attention moves toward liquid staking, and this is where DeFi in 2026 starts feeling genuinely advanced. Because now people aren't just earning yield, they're keeping liquidity while earning yield simultaneously. That changes capital efficiency completely. You spend hours researching Lido, especially around Ethereum staking. Instead of locking ETH traditionally, users receive liquid staking tokens that can still move throughout DeFi, which means one asset can keep working across multiple layers simultaneously. That idea feels incredibly powerful once you understand it. Then you discover how entire strategies are built around that concept. People staking ETH, then using staking derivatives inside lending platforms, then farming additional yield through aggregators, layer upon layer. And suddenly, DeFi stops feeling simple again. That's when you realize something important. passive income in crypto is only passive on the surface. Underneath it, there's strategy, real strategy. You start comparing chains. Ethereum still dominates security and liquidity, but fees remain higher. Meanwhile, Solana DeFi grows aggressively. Fast execution, cheap transactions, massive retail activity. Protocols on Solana start attracting serious liquidity because users can interact constantly without spending ridiculous gas fees. You open Kamino Finance. The interface feels modern, optimized. Yield vaults, automated liquidity strategies, integrated borrowing systems. And the biggest difference? Speed. Everything updates almost instantly. You test small amounts first. Always small first. Because one thing DeFi teaches you quickly is that greed destroys caution. Then there's Jupiter. Most people know it for swaps, but by 2026, the ecosystem around it becomes much deeper. Liquidity routing, yield opportunities, integrated DeFi infrastructure. Solana begins evolving into something far beyond meme coins, and the people paying attention early notice it. You spend nights comparing risk models, because every yield has a source. That's the question beginners forget to ask. Where is the yield actually coming from? If a protocol can't answer that clearly, that's usually a warning sign. Some yields come from borrowers paying interest, some from trading fees, some from staking rewards. Those are understandable, but when protocols start offering absurd APYs without sustainable mechanics underneath, you already know how those stories usually end. You remember the collapses, protocols exploding overnight, liquidity disappearing, stablecoins depegging, entire communities wiped out chasing unrealistic returns. And honestly, those failures changed DeFi for the better. Because by 2026, users became more careful, more analytical, less emotional. Then you discover yield aggregators, protocols designed to automate optimization itself. Yearn Finance becomes one of the names you study deeply. Vault strategies automatically shifting capital toward higher opportunities, compounding rewards behind the scenes, reducing manual work. It almost feels like passive infrastructure managing passive infrastructure, which sounds ridiculous until you actually see it functioning. You create spreadsheets, track APYs across chains, monitor stablecoin exposure, compare platform TVLs. And over time, something changes in your mindset. You stop asking, how much can I make? And start asking, how much risk am I actually taking for this yield? That single question separates gamblers from investors in DeFi. The longer you stay in the ecosystem, the more obvious another truth becomes. Security matters more than excitement. Audits matter. Liquidity matters. Time matters. Protocols surviving multiple market cycles gain trust slowly, but that trust becomes incredibly valuable. You notice institutions approaching DeFi differently too, not chasing hype, using stablecoin lending, treasury management, on-chain yield strategies, quietly integrating decentralized finance into broader systems. That's when you understand this space is maturing whether retail notices or not. One night, you sit back and look across all the dashboards glowing in the dark room. Aave yields updating slowly, Lido staking rewards compounding slowly, Kamino vaults rebalancing automatically. No adrenaline, no panic, just systems functioning continuously. And for the first time in a long while, crypto feels less like gambling and more like architecture. Not perfect architecture, still risky, still evolving, but real. And maybe that's the biggest shift happening in 2026. Not people getting richer overnight, but people finally understanding that sustainable wealth in crypto usually grows quietly, not loudly.